Hold on!
I know you did.
Everybody.
I know you did.
Welcome everyone to the latest episode of the Testing Room, where three of the gaming industry's best video game consultants who have never actually consulted on a video game bring you new topics each and every week. As always, I'm Alex, aka the Godfather.
I'm Christian, aka Pseudo45.
I'm Preston, aka Funkadelic Jedi.
Yeah, I almost fell into that. And then we're gonna take Wisconsin.
Yeah, I know, I can see the gears were turning in your head, and I was like, he's gonna say it instead of one. I could tell. Oh, so funny.
So welcome back, everybody. I feel like it's been a long time since we recorded, but it really hasn't been. We recorded last week.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
But it has been a long time since we've done a video game book club, which is what we're doing today, baby. It's back.
Which is exactly what we're doing today. Don't mind me.
You saw that new fancy intro that just dropped? Bam. Preston with that fire again.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm all about. Getting those intros in.
Yeah. I have an interesting feeling on the game, and I played the section twice. And we'll talk about it when we get there, but don't let me forget. Like, I end up playing what we did today 2 times. So yeah, been a good week. But before we dive into our week, Preston, what do we got going on over in the corner?
Yeah. All right. As always, this episode is sponsored by Comic Headquarters. If you're looking for a trade paperback or a hardcover, the guys over at Comic HQ can help. I meant to say headquarters. I'm sorry, I'm gonna mess all this up. Even if they don't have what you're looking for, they'll offer to order it in for you. Visit comichqstl.com today, where you can contact them and order that trade paperback or hardcover that you've been looking for. Or give them a call at 314-433-5449 and let them know that the testing room sent you, and you can get 10% off your order.
You know,
and
there's something we could do.
Know that when
there's something we could do to make sure that you never mess that up, right? Like, it could be real easy.
How's that? Just have you do it?
No, just record it so you can drop it in every time.
Sure.
Well, what I will say is, just as a heads up to anybody who orders comics from Comic HQ, Jake does blow a kiss at every single order before he ships it out.
He does, yeah.
He does.
He sent me videos, yeah.
Yeah, he gives a smooch to every single one. So just know it's packed with love every time.
Packed with love. Sent with love. There you go.
Well, if you want to know how I feel about the comics I got last week, you can go listen to the Two Worlds podcast. You can find them on YouTube. And we talk about all the comics that I got last week. We had a good discussion about it.
It was a good episode.
Yeah, you can see me suck really hard at trivia. It's awfully nice. But other than that, it was a great episode. We had a fun time.
Awfully nice for you to be on the other side of those trivia games, huh? Usually
Yeah,
I
left a comment on it.
Did you?
On the YouTube version of it, yeah. Because it was so funny. There's a moment where I can see, I put it in there, but the light leaves Jake's eyes for a single moment. And it's when Preston is talking about Lockjaw, I believe it was. And he goes, yeah, and he was like, Preston goes, it's in Marvel Snap, blah, blah, blah. And Jake was like, oh, yeah, I remember you saying that once. And Preston goes, do you want to know what it does? And then before Jake can answer, Preston goes into the huge card mechanics about everything. And there's a brief moment where Jake is like, oh, boy.
The eye
sounds like a good card.
Yeah. He's like, sounds fun. I was so funny. I was like, but Preston, he just never misses a beat to talk about Marvel Snap. He's like, you guys want to talk about snapping? I'm ready to snap whenever you guys want.
Yeah.
Who
good
hasn't
good
heard
cop,
the good
yes.
message? Let's before you get into your corner, since we're on the topic of comics, let's bring these two things together.
I do have
Our
a comment, but yeah.
and comics. Yeah, that's fine. You can get to it in a second.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, since we were talking about comics. Did anybody catch the teaser trailer for Marvel 1943?
No, I didn't catch it, but I did hear about it, and I know it's an Amy Hennig game. It's like the Captain America / Black Panther game.
Oh,
looks-
this is
I heard it looks great. I keep on
teaser.
forgetting, though. I keep on forgetting to look at it. Watch it.
The
Okay,
teaser looks great.
I-
Here's gonna be my frustration, right? So it's 1943. It's happening during World War II. You have Captain America who's in Paris trying to find Nazis, but of course there's Black Panther who has his own agenda. Seems to be hunting Nazis. Classic suit. Voice actor sounds fantastic. I look at this and go, this will probably like all the cutscenes, if you collect it as like a little animated movie, will probably be incredible. Stretch out as a game would be too much, but then a standalone movie would be like that Marvel fatigue. So it's like, I don't know what I want here. 'Cause it looks like it could be great, but I don't know that I want to play a long
weirdest
video
thing for
game
me-
to do it.
the weirdest thing for me, and this is just somebody who's casual, was that when I saw that, I was like, these characters don't look right. Like,
So Black
Black
Panther
Panther
has...
doesn't look like Chadwick, right? And so I was like,
That's his
I-
dad.
And then,
T'Challa's
okay,
dad.
sure,
Yeah.
whatever.
That's what I
Okay,
thought. I figured they would
either
go
way.
continuity with the movie and just make it like, oh, it's his dad.
But then-
That's what I assumed.
But then to that same point, then, which is fine, that's okay. But then Captain America does not look anything like Chris Evans, and so I was like, you guys just don't look right. But that's because it's just who I. It's the same way that I associate Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. There's nothing I can do about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked to be an interesting premise. Again, it's just
Sure.
who knows. The cutscenes for Avengers looked great too before it came out and turned into.
To be fair, this
show
is
was
an Amy
Avengers.
Hennig joint, so there is some pedigree behind it. So I'm kind of excited to see what she does with it.
She can write a good story.
Yeah, she can write a great
so
story.
Yeah.
hopefully she's able to actually finish this game before somebody
before it
fucking
cancels.
stops her.
Yeah.
So
uh,
the Spider-Man 2 had a good story as well, right?
Sure.
Like the thing with all of these games recently that takes away from them is all the other BS packed in, right? It'd be great for her to come out and be like, here's my story, it's 13 hours long, and that's the game, and none of this other BS. And you know what? Charge me $70. Like, that's fine. I'd be super happy with something tight.
Sure.
Because it looks cool. So it'll be interesting to see more. I just didn't know if anybody caught that since we were on the topic of comics. I thought it looked
I
interesting.
heard about it on the podcast, on somebody's podcast. I'm like, oh, I should look that up. And then it was late at night. I never looked it up.
I think it got posted in one of the group chats that we were in.
Is
Is
it?
where I saw
Yeah, I
it. I
missed
think
it.
I saw a clip. Yeah.
Yeah, go back and watch it tonight, Preston. It's pretty cool.
I definitely will, for sure. All right. Well, the comment that we got was on the YouTubes from the best friend of the podcast, Jake. I literally just told Preston that my favorite was Rebel Strike when he guessed on the Test 2 World podcast, and boy, he tore it apart here. My favorite era of games is the GameCube. Despite Alex roasting me for that in the past, he will now try to gaslight all of us by saying that he never did that. I think the game. I think the GameCube had an
Jake, don't-
incredible library of games, and in my opinion, a good chunk of them still hold up today when I go back and play them. Also, during that time was the heyday of the Game Boy Advance, also having an amazing library of games that still hold up today. I agree.
I love.
Look
I
at
love that
Jake like acting
only-
like he knows me or something.
I love that he pulls the JoJo card where he's like, and now Alex will absolutely try to gaslight me in this moment. Like, it's so fucking funny.
He knows the answer. It's not that I don't believe him. It's I just truly don't remember because I'm sure I was just giving him hell. But I love the fact that he never lets me live anything down.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's really funny.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I do apologize. I was talking shit on Rebel Strike. We'll talk about it a little bit later when we get to my week. But
Don't apologize.
it's
Stand on business, bro.
Yeah, don't apologize. If that's how you feel, it's how you feel, fam.
If you got hate in your heart,
shit
let
in
it
this
out.
childhood cereal bowl. I really apologize a little bit.
No.
I,
People make
I'm not
fun of
going
Final
against my
Fantasy
opinion.
X or whatever, and it doesn't.
I'm not
doesn't
taking it
hurt
back.
my
Look.
feelings.
Look, well, to be fair, I don't really think people hate 10 so much as they
Yeah,
hate
because it's
the
fucking
sequels, but that's-
amazing.
Yeah, look, hey, it's a great game.
But I'm just
not
saying.
arguing with
But I'm
you.
just saying. If somebody did, I would say like you have a great opinion, whatever. It wouldn't like I wouldn't take it personal. I would never
Yeah.
talk to them again.
So,
But like I wouldn't
actually,
let it bother me.
since if we're already on the topic of hating, I want to start my weeks because I got a little bit of a call out that I got to start. Hey, happy birthday, buddy!
There you go.
Yeah, thank you.
I got a little bit of a call out that I got to start my week on because I forgot to do this back when it happened, and I let it slide for too long, and I can't let it slide anymore.
Oh,
So we got to talk about it.
sorry.
Preston.
What did I do? What did I do this time?
Thank God.
Yeah,
I was
you know
really
what you
worried.
did.
I was really worried it was going to be me. I'm so excited.
You know what you did, and you're going to answer for your crimes right now. So, this week, Preston and I played a little bit of Street Fighter, and it was great.
Yeah.
We had some good times. But it reminded me of something that happened that I forgot to talk about that we were just trying to brush under the rug.
Me
but
beating your ass in Tekken?
Nah. Also, you never mind.
I did.
It doesn't matter.
Wow.
So when Ed first came out, before that, I had decided that what I was going to do was finish the Street Fighter 6 story mode.
Oh.
And if you recall, yeah, he knows now. As you recall, during the Game of the Year episode, Preston was talking about the unbeatable, unfair, trash, garbage boss that ruined the story mode for him. It was just a guy.
It's a guy with
was
cardboard
purple.
head. Yeah. Gloves.
Yeah, and it's not much of a difference.
No.
And it was unbeatable, unfair, and it ruined the
Yeah.
video game for him. Knocked it down whole points to the point where it couldn't beat out games that it deserved to win over. So I come to the Street Fighter 6 story mode, and I'm getting to the point that he had talked about, and I was like, oh man, this is I'm very eager to see how bad this is going to be, because I just assumed, because it does happen in fighting games a lot. And Preston was like, who knows, knowing my luck, you'll just like smoke him or whatever. He does a fuck ton of damage and all this other stuff. So I get up to it, and not only do I smoke him, but he also does like no damage, none whatsoever. Like it's just like chip damage. No. I told you what happened. Here's what happened.
Patched it. They made it easier.
Preston pulled an Alex and skipped some dialogue boxes that show a mechanic in the game in which you are able to spend your hard-earned money that you get while you're fighting in the game to upgrade all of your gear so that you have higher defense going into fights. And Preston was not aware of this mechanic when I told him about it. So he went through this whole game with level 1 gear and then was getting mad that he was getting stomped by an end game
Just
NPC.
shows how good I
like,
am as I got to that point with level 1 gear.
Yeah, except to the point where you couldn't beat this guy. And I was like, all you had to do was upgrade your clothes. And he was like, I don't even know what that is. And I was like, yeah, it's in the beginning of the game. They take you to the clothes guy and they tell you that you can pay you drop off materials and they make your clothes stronger. And he was like, oh, yeah, that'll do it. And he's like, well, maybe I'll go back and do that then. And I was like, maybe. And then in my head, I was like, this motherfucker, Street Fighter 6 got done dirty is all I'm trying to say.
You know what?
Anyway,
you could have played and beaten the
not...
story within that year and told me about this, but no, you didn't, because the story was just so good, you just never finished it during last year.
No, just other things came out, like Trails games that I had to beat. Not my problem.
Sure.
This is not a defense of Preston skipping dialogue, but it is odd
I just forgot.
to me. Either way, not defensive, but it is
Tomato.
odd. It is odd to me that, like, in a fighting game, you typically think of, like, you just pick your characters and fight, that, like, there is a level up gear component. So I do agree that, like, that's a bit odd.
But here's the thing. I would agree with you up until the point where the game was very clearly like, look at our Yakuza-ass story mode. Like, you're running around doing quests, picking things up. Like, it literally plays like a Yakuza game. Like,
yeah.
So I think that
I got the Blanca-chan armor. It was really, really good, so I didn't have to upgrade it, and apparently I needed to upgrade it at the very end. So.
Because then you upgrade it, and then it carries you through the rest of the game, because it's incredible. It's the best
Preston
armor in the game.
would have known, he could have just streamed it and been like, level 1 Street Fighter 6 story run, and you could have gotten all kinds of followers on that. Been like Elden Ring, hard mode. Yeah.
Never know. We'll never know.
But yeah. So I just needed to put the truth out there for people that so that people can know the slander can be dispelled.
I love how angry you get whenever you bring up games that you enjoy that didn't end up where you
I'm not angry.
where you think they deserved on the top like end of the year list, because the one time it's the one time a year you get your comeuppance that like we just won't always let your games be where you think they deserve.
Yeah.
It's just funny. You hold on to it all year, 11 months. It's all
I'm not holding on to it. I'm just saying that, look, hey, lies were said, and we just need to be making sure that we're an accurate podcast. Oh,
Misinformation.
It wasn't unbeatable. Sure, okay, so what's the same thing? Anyways.
2 different words.
But yeah, and they mean the same thing. Anyway, the other things that I played, I didn't get to play, obviously I played the game that we're about to talk about this week. I played Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion.
Okay.
So for those who don't know, it's a real quick game, 2 hours max. It's very, very short. It's also appropriately priced. It's like $3 if you go purchase it. It's super fun. It's really charming, and it's exactly what it is. You are protecting the world by ripping up all legal documents, including your own and other people's taxes. Every single time that you find like an item in the game, there's just a button that you can't choose anything else. It's literally either back, like as in put the item down and you just can't do anything with it, or rip it up. That's it. There's no option. And there will be so many people that'll be like, you do something, they'll be like, oh, here's this item, and you're like, thanks, and you rip it up, and they're like, man, why? Like, why are you ripping up my stuff? Like, it's just so funny and charming. It was great. I need to pull up, because I don't remember. There was one more game that I played. That was the other one. Another short game is, because obviously after finishing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but Dragon's Dogma 2 was coming out, I was like, I don't really have a lot of time. I don't want to get sucked into anything too crazy, so let me play something small. So I went back and I checked out the first game from the developer who did Citizen Sleeper. So his first game was called In Other Waters. So I went and checked this out. I specifically for Preston, because I know that he would dig it. Alex, you might like it too. I just don't know, but I know Preston would dig the vibes in this game. It has like, you can see some of the same DNA for what ended up becoming Citizen Sleeper, just in like the music and like the tone of the writing and sort of the things that they're talking about. But otherwise it's completely different. So it's basically, the easiest way to describe it is like, it's top down, it's just a map, and you are basically playing as like an AI that is in this like diving suit that has like a scientist in it, and you're essentially going on to this undiscovered like oceanic planet, more or less, and a random distress signal has brought you there, and you are sort of trying to piece together the mystery of what happened while also cataloging like new life, because that at this point has not been found in the universe, like in this point in the future. And as you are going, like, you are discovering more things like about like the different like creatures and things like that. And then the way that the game sort of rewards you for going through and getting all this information is the diver, who you don't control, you talk with. She's like the main character in the game that you're going back and forth with. She's doing sketches, like concept art, basically, of all of these creatures that are in like that you would discover, and so you start to like piece together what these look like as you go along. It's really fucking cool. The story is really neat. It handles sort of the same, not same themes, but it handles a similarly delicate theme in just a good as a way as Citizen Sleeper did. Like, it handles a lot of some existential stuff, but it does it with the care that Citizen Sleeper did. It really sort of does a good job. If you like that style of writing, obviously it's that same kind of thing. But I really, really enjoyed it. The fucking music is awesome, just as good as Citizen Sleeper's. So yeah, that was it. The next up is obviously Dragon's Dogma. It literally just unlocked, so it's downloading now. I have not played it, but I'm very excited. And then my travel game, because Dragon's Dogma is apparently very heavy on the resources when it comes to the PC and console versions. To be fair, it's a hefty game, and so I do not think it's going to run well on the Steam Deck. So my travel game is going to be, I'm knocking one off the backlog, and I'm going to check out Aliens Dark Ascent. So the tactical like RPG that they did, the real-time like tactical one. Mostly for a couple reasons. I was looking for something that was going to be able to be on my Steam Deck that I could play either while I'm not in front of the computer, while I'm traveling, and all that other stuff. But then this new Alien trailer came out and got me all hyped up for Alien again, and I was like, you know what? I'm in the mood. Let's do it, baby. It's either I replay Isolation again or I try this new Alien thing, so let's go for the new one. So I'm checking out Dark Ascent, but I had not had a chance to play that one yet either. But yeah, that's it. It's my week.
Okay.
Do not. My recommendation is, if you can avoid it, don't play your Metro game on the Steam Deck.
Oh.
Or have you been?
No, I've been playing on PC.
Yeah. Exodus is having like weird issues, which again will lead into why I played it twice. But as soon as you turn it on, the frame rate's garbage. For some reason, it puts everything like as high as possible on that Steam Deck, and then it leaves on like motion blur and turns off VSync and all sorts of other stuff. So it really struggles. And then if you go in there and like make some settings, it does run better. But the other weird thing is it never fully recognizes that you're using the Steam Deck. So everything, you'll run up to something and it'll be like, press E, like you're using a keyboard and mouse to interact, and then you hit X, and then it'll like quickly jump to X, and then you hold it to do it. So it's just really goofy on Steam Deck. I played it on my PC, totally fine. So yeah, just...
Did it have like a bad rating, like the Proton DB rating?
No, I don't think so. And it does, once I mess with stuff, it does look fine and ran much better. Because it took me forever to figure out why it was looking terrible. But again, then it was just like the keyboard thing, and who knows? Like, if you're okay with doing that, because it doesn't interrupt the full game experience. It is just more annoying than anything. Of like, it just takes an extra second when I interact with anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little easier on other things. Like, I've been playing on a PC. It was fine. So yeah, my week is also not long because I've been I finished up a big work project this week that required some travel. So I played Final Fantasy in the first half of the week. Again, just doing that fishing, boy. But otherwise, because from my last physical therapy, they said, hey, you can start using controllers and stuff again. I jumped into some Halo, and I am not as good as I was before I got injured, but I'm significantly better than when I started. So the gap to get back to where I was will not take long at all. In fact, I played a couple of games today, not many. Played 2 or 3 games today in Husky Raid, and on one game, I took a video of it. I'll have to send it to you guys. I think I got 6 or 7 snipes in a row. I think I was on a 6 snipe spree in a row pretty quickly, and on the 8th one I ran out of ammo. So like I'm still better. I've had quite a few games of like 20. I've had a few games of 30 kills. I even had one of like 43. So I'll get back pretty quick, just so Jake knows. It's not gonna be the long slog to get back there. So that's been great. And then of course I spent some time playing the game that we're gonna talk about tonight. Metro. So yeah, that's my week. I spent a lot of time with this work project. It required a lot of setup, so I did not have a lot of game time. And then, of course, like any work meeting, which is stupid, I take my Steam Deck, and I don't know why, because like every night is, let's go to the team dinner, and then let's hang out and have some drinks, right? And by the time you're actually done engaging with people, I just want to go to bed. Yeah. So. Yeah,
but you're at the point where if you don't bring it, it'll be the one time that you do get to hang out into your room and do nothing.
Oh, 100%.
Pissed that you don't have it.
Yep, 100%. It gets brought always. It just doesn't always get used. And it did get played on the way back from the plane. It didn't get played on the way out because I flew at like 6 in the morning and I just wanted to sleep. But yeah. So that's my week. Very short, very easy.
Okay. Well, I got a couple things. Still going through Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age. I'm about at 10 hours-ish. We're now in some king's tomb in the middle of this like desert area.
Yeah. Okay.
Fought some demon wall the first time I tried to fight it.
Yes, you did.
This is an enemy that will put one of your party members in Zone X, which I had no idea what that was.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you just don't get them back. I'm like, what do you mean don't get them back? Like, yeah, you have to like get to a point to where like everyone's healed and all your characters are back. Otherwise, you can't choose that party member again. I'm like, oh shit.
Yep.
Like, okay. So we ran away from the first demon wall. Second demon wall you can go after. Took it down, no problem. But that's kind of where I'm at with that one. I'm enjoying the fighting, the combat in there. I'm getting the gambits going a little bit better. Question for those of you who have played it. When you get like towards the end... Okay, fair enough. When you get towards the end, roughly how many lines of gambit options do you use for each party member? Because right now I got like 2 or 3. But like, are you talking like we're going like 10 to 12? Because like when you fill those skill trees, there's like gambit slot, gambit slot, gambit slot. I'm like, how many fucking gambit slots do you need? It's either attacking or healing, and maybe you bounce back and forth a little bit, but like over 10?
Oh, my sweet summer child. Yeah. So it's you're in the 10 area for sure,
Okay.
but it's because you have to remember. It's not a traditional Final Fantasy, right? You
Sure.
have the job system,
I
so
got
you're able
that,
to
yeah.
mix and match jobs and all this, right? So like, you can have a character that has like black mage, white mage. You can have a character that's like black mage, samurai. You can have a character that's like monk, samurai. You can have a character that's like paladin and whatever, right? So when you have 2 classes that you get fully leveled up that have a full range of everything, right? There's going to be times that you're going to need them to do certain things, or you want them to do certain things, right? So like, you know, say for instance you have a healer, and then like the person might also have like a time, like the time mage, right? Well, you might not always need a character. You might not always need somebody to cast haste all the time, but you'll have a gambit for that when you need haste to be cast,
Sure.
right? And then you might not always need slow to be applied all the time, but you're going to want a gambit so that when slow does go away, they can put slow back on.
So if
and
you're
you
like
don't have
me
to
who
worry
doesn't
about it.
mind going through those actions, like every once in a while I'm like, oh, okay, well I need to do something with this character. I'm like, I'll just go over them real quick, choose that one action. If it's that one time out of the entire battle that I'll need it, or maybe 2 times of the battle, if it's a big boss battle. Like I don't mind going to my characters, but if I want to be able to hit the fast forward button and just do what it do with my gambits, that's when you kind of want to have all those laid out properly, probably.
So this is where, that's the split, right? You can totally beat the game in real time without using the gambit system and just play it.
Sure.
Like, and just because the game stops when you go to choose an action, right? So like you can do whatever it is you need to do. That being said, if you want to blast through some of those battles, you're going to want gambits, because some of those battles famously, it's a little different in the version you're playing. It's for the better, but famously that game has like a 10-hour boss fight, and this is before you could fast forward it, and also they made balancing changes
Sure.
and things like that. But famously that game has a 10-hour boss fight, and that was the point. Was an ultimate test of your gambit setting abilities. Was like,
Okay.
can you handle a fight for this long? You know,
Sure.
And they do all that. Now, you do not. That's like a super mega hidden boss. You don't have to do that for
Okay,
anything.
fair
It's
enough.
just
All right. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not a big cutscene
Yeah.
boss. Okay.
What I
playing that-
love about that system is very similar to the Final Fantasy X sphere grid, where it's just like, oh, I can have a character for every class. It's like you can, or all of your characters can be every class, and that's when it's the best.
Yeah, I was kind of
And then
curious
I'm
because I
telling you,
I can only choose one class like per character right now. But obviously, with the way you make it sound, you can choose more than just that one.
yeah, you'll get there. Yeah,
Okay.
because if you look, that license board, like it only goes up to level, I don't remember what it is, but you get there by probably the middle of the game, if not a little bit sooner, and you'll have like the last node on the license board is connect to another board.
Oh, is it?
And
Okay.
so you press that node, and then it opens
It
up
gives
the
you options for
job
another
wheel
one.
again.
Yeah.
Like it opens up the Zodiac wheel again, and you're like, all right. He goes, what do you want to fucking do? And you can just pick. There's certain jobs that have great synergies that fucking mix really well. You can do a jack of all trades. Like to Alex's point, you can really, it lets you do whatever the fuck you want. Like, so you can break it up however you want, but it's fun.
Okay. I do want to mention also, I really like the fact that, let's say your entire party goes out. It's really nice. It's not like Persona 2 where like your main character dies, restart. No, it's if everyone in your party dies, go choose the rest of the party. Like in the middle of that battle, it's like, go choose the rest of the party. You're on the main side, choose all the rest of them. I'm like, that is great. That's fantastic. I was so fucking happy when that happened. Cause I'm like, shit. Like I'm keep dying. Like I'm using like, it was the big like phoenix looking bird thing in the very beginning, right before you get into the tomb. And it's like,
the
it's
zoo,
you need to have like range and shit like that. And it was just so much fun. Like it was really nice when I was sitting like, fuck. I'm like trying to revive. I'm like, I didn't bring the right party. I'm like, shit, I can't like just, do it like right now. And I'm reviving everybody, giving everybody potions and shit. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm like, well, I guess we'll have to just wipe it and do it. And like, the last person dies, like, choose your party. I'm like, right now? They're like, yeah, choose your party. I'm like,
it's incredible.
Yes. Okay, we start this fresh with 4 other characters, all at full health and everything. I'm like,
that's why it's always important to keep everybody leveled the same way.
Yeah, I usually bounce
around.
Geared. Yeah. That's what I've been doing.
You want to keep everybody geared and keep everybody good to go, because it really is, if you die, it's next man up. They let you go right back into it.
So that was really nice.
Which is great, because most games don't let you do that.
Yeah, and this one also does kind of what Persona does. I keep on forgetting to mention this about Persona 3, but they have the thing to where it's called Rewind, to where you'll have your save point, and then it has like 5 check marks before that save point, just in case you just didn't save in the proper spot. And you're like, man, I kind of fucked myself. It's like, no, we'll give you like 5 days before that. This one will do it to where you got your save point, but we also have your checkpoints after that. So like, not all of them, but like the next checkpoint you hit will be like, okay, if you didn't save it, that's okay, because you didn't get to the save point, but we did have a checkpoint here before this boss or that happened, so you don't have to go all the way back to your original save. You can go back to the save we gave you as a far as checkpoint. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's a nice little addition. Other than that, playing more of Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike on the stream, twitch.tv/testingroompod. So, with Rebel Strike, with the Rogue Squadron games, you went across left to right with your missions, and then you can go up for bonus missions or down for bonus missions. This one now has it to where you have like essentially 3 tiers going vertical, and left side is all Luke Skywalker missions, the full right side is Wedge Antilles missions, and then you have like bonus levels that are sometimes in the middle. I went through all of Luke Skywalker's missions in the last stream. Luke Skywalker's missions are mostly based off of like, hey, I want you to roleplay this scenario in the movies. And a lot of those are like on foot missions or swoop bike missions. And let me tell you, they're not the best thing that they've ever made.
Man, it was
rough.
I watched some of it, dude. I started laughing. There's the swoop bike missions, as he was saying. That dude, those bikes are fucking fast.
And I was so you don't have to touch the gas and they go, but like you hit the gas and you get a boost. You get boosties. But like they're having you dodge between like trees, like in the Return of the Jedi, or like the side mission that's not in the movies, where it's like you're in this canyon with some water, but there's like rocks jutting up and stuff like that. I'm like, how do you expect me to hit like boost and not hit any of these? I'm not doing this shit. Not to mention, Christian saved a fun little clip on Twitch that you can check out there, and it's like you're supposed to boost, and you hit this ramp, and you're supposed to go over, but the thing is, you don't want to boost. It's horrible gameplay and like I mean not graphics, but like gravity. The gravity in there is garbage because like. Oh, hey, you think when you go to hit a ramp, you're going to want to speed up before you hit that ramp, right? So that way you have all that momentum to throw you across. This wants you to hit the boost while you're like mid-air. Because if you hit it beforehand, you're just going to have the same kind of momentum that you would normally do. But if you're mid-air and you hit the boost, then you get across where you want to go. So it's like I get on the ramp and I boost. And then while midair says, hit your boost. I'm like, well, I just hit it beforehand. I don't have boost right now. And I just crashed like directly into the side of this like ravine.
It's so funny, dude.
It was rough.
There's so many like during the jungle ones, he's like going and he would like turn a corner, and then the second the corner resolves, it's like tree, and it just boom, explodes. Like there's just nothing you can do.
And right at the end of that Return of the Jedi mission, because it's the one that you see in the movies, they toss in the cutscenes too. But like you get to the point to where like you and the other speeder bike are like, you're stuck, right? So it's like, oh, hit the B button so you can like kind of, jostle them around. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, well, let's get him in. So I'm dying, just running into trees. And like, you can see the other stormtrooper guy just chilling. He's alive. He's just chilling next to the tree. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Luckily, I put infinite lives on. So I'm like, we'll do this all fucking day. I don't care. So boom, boom, boom. And then you get just a little bit further, and it's like, oh, cutscene. This is where it actually disconnects. I'm like, fuck off. So you just had to survive and use the B button to not get pushed into the tree, not push him into the tree. That Luke Skywalker side is not great. Now, not this coming week, but the week, if you guys are listening to the podcast and it's around this launch week, that coming Sunday, I'll be playing again. But this week, we're going to take a day off because I'm going to go see Mom and Sis, and we're going to have some lunch. But I won't be able to play it then. But we're going to do the Wedge side. And from what I've seen, the Wedge side is mostly ship battle. So I'm like, okay, good. So that will hopefully get my opinion on that just a little bit more up once we do some more of those. So, but it's... Man, I remember, like, these platforming sections I remember fucking hating and did not like them. I'm like, let's see how this goes. And I played them like, these are garbage. There's no reason why these need to be here at all. Like, you're going into, let's say Return of the Jedi again. Like, you're Han Solo going into that, shield station. You're supposed to put, bombs places. The camera errors are fixed. And the targeting, how they do it, you don't get to choose your targets. It's like whoever they think is close enough or where you're going to aim at, that's who you're targeting. And I was on Hoth, I'm like, okay, I'm going to kill these snow troopers right in front of me. They're like, there's two of them just bop, 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 shooting me up. And it's like my camera's like, my target.
It looks like
no, you can go. No, we're shooting this probe droid over here. I'm like, no, there's dudes in front of me right now shooting, and I'm like, I'm facing them, but he's shooting up at this probe droid over here. I'm like, this was all an afterthought. This was all an afterthought.
There was a moment during the Hoth part where he's doing the thing and Luke's just pointing whichever fucking way he wants to go, and I was like, man, game design sure has come a long way.
Yeah, man, you're in the Scarlet Pit and you're supposed to jump through the skiffs to get to Jabba's barge, and it's like your camera's here. But can I look to see where the skiff's coming? It's like, no, you're gonna wait for the skiff to come out of the side of the screen, and that's when you know you can jump. I'm like, but they're right behind me. Nope, you can't look.
Yeah, I was like, man, people just did whatever the fuck they wanted back then. It was just like, hey, if it sticks, it sticks. We'll see what happens.
I would like to think that somebody high up was like, we want you to play the movie scenes, so get us on foot so you can play Luke Skywalker. I don't want to be in a spaceship. I want you to be Luke Skywalker with your lightsaber on Dagobah, doing your Jedi training, which apparently requires you to platform on top of rocks. So, there's that. But it's good. We're going to continue playing that. We haven't figured out what we're going to do next. We were going to play the Battlefront Collection. Preston has refunded that because all the videos and everything that's coming out about that are hot garbage. Even in the day and age I've been playing a little bit of Dark Forces Remastered here and there. Every once in a while, I'll play a level all night. Looks great, plays fucking fantastic. Everything about it is just to the tens. The extra things they put in there. Dark Forces Remastered, fantastic. Love it. Battlefront Collection, everything I've looked at and seen online and going through videos, kind of just seeing, kind of testing the waters to see how everybody feels. Apparently, they said they weren't going to use mods from the community. They used mods from the community without their permission. They tried to remove them in a patch. They removed most of them. They don't have very many servers, and everything about it, people have said that there is the originals on the Steam right now that you could buy, and they're actually cheaper than if you were to buy the collection. And he's like, there's no super huge difference. And maybe a little bit in the texture quality of some of the stuff getting up-resed or whatever. But other than that, you're not getting anything new, anything better. And in fact, the servers are much worse. You can play the original classics, and their servers are better than the classic collection that they just released, which is insane. Insane. So that was going to be our next one. So we'll see what happens. I'm still brainstorming it. We thought Force Unleashed 1. We thought KOTOR. I might try Pod Racer again. Who knows? So there's a lot of things that we could do. And I thought KOTOR would be a lot of fun, especially if I can find some mods to get some unreleased content and maybe to make it look a little prettier. Since I'm not getting my remake.
Play KOTOR.
Since I'm not getting my remake.
You son of a bitch.
I might do KOTOR. It'd be nice. Other than that,
it'd be nice. It's the best fucking Star Wars game.
It's the best Star Wars game. It's just you might want to save that for later, but who knows? We might just play it. Lastly, for games outside the one we're talking about later on today, I noticed a little game on Game Pass, and friend of the show, Steph, is a big fan of this little game called Dead Island 2. And I'm like, oh, that game's on Game Pass. I'm like, I know it's co-op, and I hear decent things about it. So you want to do a night thing? Let's do some co-op. She's like, I've never done co-op. Let's do co-op. I'm like, sweet. So she's max level 30, and so I'm getting in there. I do a little tutorial mission. It feels great. It looks really good. The characters and the writing in that. I mean, the writing is they're writing for Californians in a funny post-apocalyptic kind of deal, trying to escape Hollywood / LA, whatever they're at, Beverly Hills, and. These characters are written as some of them sound like just shitty Californians, if you will, or West Coasters. You got like one lady who's a very famous actress. She has her like personal assistant there talking her up, and they very much are a stereotypical version of those characters. But looks great. Voice acting is done very well. I love the melee combat.
They're written like characters straight out of Saints Row.
Kind of, yeah. Maybe not as extreme, because I want to be like, oh, it's kind of like Borderland writing. I'm like, it's not exactly Borderland writing. They don't go as bad with that. But the melee combat's really, really good. I mean, obviously, it's the majority of the game. There are guns and stuff you can get in there, but I mean, I was sitting there with a wrench or a pipe or a pulse cue, and I'm hitting, and I got a machete, and it's like putting tears into the skin, which is really cool. It's just, there's a lot of very cool things about this game. I had a really fun time playing a couple hours with Steph. So I'm probably going to continue to jump in here and there, and it'd be fun.
I heard that there was a lot of people who said that like it finally got there in the end. Like that game got moved around to different developers, different publishers, like 5 different times. It's got like all these. Like, I mean, I'm sure the credits are like 18 miles.
The trailer was like 7-8 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was crazy, and I know it restarted and got scrapped at some point, and all sorts of wild shit
for sure.
But I heard that it actually kind of gets there in the end, which is not a lot of games that go through that can survive that kind of.
You get skills, so you got skill cards. You get slots that open up skill cards you can put in there. Like if you get hit, maybe it does damage to whatever, it makes an explosion. You get healing if you dodge. I got the first one. The first one you get is like drop kick. So instead of your normal kick, you can jump and you can kick, and so it does the whole. You see your feet go out like that, and it just knocks motherfuckers. If they're not huge dudes, like it will just knock them back. I'm like, okay, cool. I do a lot of jump kicking, so Steph will be there, like either hitting or shooting something. And all of a sudden, I'll be running out of nowhere, like and just kick, and it makes this dude fly. And we were next to this pool, and this pool is just like filled with acid because for some reason someone's pumping in chemicals into the pool. So we were fighting a whole bunch of zombies out there. I'm like, cool, let's run around the outside of the pool, get them on the edge, and I'm just drop kicking them into the pool so they can just melt away. I'm like, this is great, this is awesome. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, as far as games, that's pretty much it. Still watching Shogun's pretty good. Jake,
still hate that main actor.
Yep. What's that?
Is it you still hate that main actor?
The past episode, I didn't mind him as much. I actually kind of liked him in this last episode. It was that one to where he's in that smaller ship trying to get past that other ship, and he's screaming at the other ship and getting riled up. I'm like, I didn't like any of that. But so far, this last episode, he wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I like the last episode a lot. Jake let me know that I was a bad Star Wars fan, and I didn't realize that the whole season of Bad Batch is already out. So final season of Bad Batch is out. I've been watching it. It's very good. I'm going to the final episode probably later. Probably not tonight. Probably tomorrow night. But it's great. I've been really enjoying that. I'm curious to see where they kind of take it towards the end. And then X-Men 97 dropped their first 2 episodes. I did watch the first one.
So
it's good.
So how is that given that is it good? They something's going on there.
Yeah,
they fired that show creator before the
premiere
premiere happened. So
there's something going on there. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what comes out from that, like whether the show goes off the rails somewhere,
story behind it,
or if something's going on behind the scenes. Because it's weird that you would fire a show's creator before the premiere happens.
Yeah, and they're definitely pushing the ads for this one a lot. So I'm enjoying it. It's X-Men 97. It's of that era. It's those characters. I think they got most, if not all, the voice actors back as long as they were alive. It's almost 30 years ago now, so some of those voice actors are quite a bit older. They were adults when they did that back then, and someone like Wolverine, you can tell that's an old man Wolverine. That ain't young Wolverine. You can tell that old man is struggling when he's doing these. But it's not bad voice acting. It's
Rogue
just,
sound like she's had. Does Rogue sound like she's had like 60 years of Marlboros when she talks?
She doesn't sound as noticeably different as Wolverine, but I was looking for it at that point. I'm like, okay, let's hear how much older these. And I'm like, Rogue, she was already getting like this smoker's crackle. So I'm like, let's see what happens now. And she sounds fine. Yeah, she does not sound like she's dying, but they do a really good job with this. I like the idea of what they're doing with some of the characters, and the writing is actually fairly decent. I was kind of been looking around like, okay, do we see a computer, a cell phone, like something that would scream 97 to me, and I haven't seen anything yet. They were in a club at some point, and it sounded like recent club music, so I don't know if they're calling it 97 because it's based off this, because it's a continuation of that series. But yeah, it's good so far. I mean, I like X-Men. They do some very cool action pieces in the first episode, especially. So I'm curious to see where that goes. Very happy about it so far. Yeah, that's it. My week.
Nice. All right. Well, Christian, with that, it's over to you, sir.
Let's do it. So we were talking. We went and we played Metro Exodus.
Did.
So that's what we were talking about today. So and this will be probably a little bit shorter because this section ended up going by a little bit faster than some of our normal ones do. But I think part of that is just because obviously we never played it before. And we didn't know how long the intro was going to be, but it goes through pretty quickly. So the main thing, and this is something that Preston and I talked about before the show started, so I'll just get this out of the way now. Preston and I were pretty sure that Artyom had a baby the last time we saw him, and with Anna, and we had remembered that from the game. It turns out that was just one of the endings that happened. So in the C'est La Vie ending, when Artyom sacrifices himself, it cuts to Anna having a child.
So it's the non-canon ending is what it was.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they had said, so they let people know when this game came out what the canon ending was, and then they were like, yeah, and then this one, in that ending, Artyom and Anna don't end up conceiving a child. So
we bitched about that the last time. Like, just give if you're following a story and you have sequels, just give the one ending.
Well, let's see if we get the good ending. It's not
endings.
it's not okay. So the bad ending, he ended up impregnating Anna. It doesn't mean he didn't impregnate Anna in the fucking good ending.
Yeah,
this all happens before the ending, so he should still have a kid in the game, even if you got the good ending as canon, right?
I said this to Preston. I was like, look, man, I just played through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Every decision is a different timeline. Look, God giveth, God taketh away. You survive, guess what? You don't have a child.
Well on one, but
look, man, you keep
one.
referring. You keep referring to things that happen in different scenes. We don't have to rely on what we said before.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was this intro kicks off, and Artyom and Anna. We'll get to it in a second. But Artyom and Anna, and all this stuff is happening, and I'm like, don't they have a child? Like I kept thinking, I was like, I know that there should be a baby here. And I was like, I'll have to look that up. Maybe I'm misremembering. I wasn't. It's just not the canon ending. But yeah, so this intro kicks off. And I am assuming, I don't know, but I'm assuming that my two beautiful little boys here were not happy at the new fidelity that the scary monsters are given in this time around.
I wasn't as bothered by it because there wasn't a whole lot of jump scares for me, so I was okay with it.
I mean, it opens on a jump scare. Like you go to open up that grate, that thing's right there. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a couple of qualms with this game, and just let's start things off.
We'll get there. Hold on.
But I'm talking. I'm going to start with the fidelity. I'm going to start with the fidelity real quick. And I'm not going to go into the others. So, I've played twice. Right? What happened? I kind of told you I started on Steam Deck and there were a lot of fidelity issues. For some reason, Steam Deck set everything way too high. Then I turned it down, and then I played and it was fine. But I was playing. I couldn't get my headphones connected last night, so then I ended up playing while I was reading rather than listening. So then when I got on my computer today, things didn't sync over because I wasn't connected to Wi-Fi, right? And I was actually fine with that. I was like, you know what, that's okay. Let's just go ahead and redo it again. We're gonna listen to all the audio. We're not gonna miss or whatever. On my PC, everything's ultra, right? Like all the settings are ultra. Right. The monsters look incredible. The facial animations look incredible. However, there's other stuff that looks bad. Like the fire in trash cans is uber pixelated, and the textures are not good.
I'll have to look
and there are a few other areas with the draw distance and other stuff. And I thought it was weird. I actually was, before we started doing the pod tonight, I was looking it up, and there are both Reddit threads and Steam review threads where the game as a whole is rated pretty high, but many it's not a one-off issue. Many people bitch about just hey, the models look great, but there's many other textures in the game, if you pay attention, that do not look as good. So I found it distracting at times to where like I told you, remember the second game, I like came up out of a tunnel at one point and actually forgot that like this game takes place.
Yeah.
Like there's an outside, so like that's how immersive the second one was. I think there were enough texture things in this first playthrough that like actually broke the immersion of this world for me a little bit.
Really?
So
Weird.
it felt different. And I'll have other things to say about it as well.
Yeah, I did
but
not.
yeah,
so
it was-
I did not have I did not have that on mine. I don't know. I'm sure. Obviously, for one, PC is just difficult in general because there's a million different configurations, a million different cards, driver issue, all sorts of shit that can play into that, right? So that does.
Oh,
suck,
that's
though.
true. You guys are probably
that-
playing on console, yeah?
I play on Series S.
No. Oh no, I'm on my PC. But
Oh,
I
okay.
just have a different card than you do.
Yeah.
Right, so like it could be completely different. Like, so I don't. That's what I'm saying is like your card. You have the better card, but because it's newer, like it might
Right.
act with it in a weird way. Who the fuck knows? It's
Well,
impossible
and the
to know. Like,
and see, pay attention next time, and I'm sure you would have noticed if it was bad this time. But just keep an eye out because, like I said,
Yeah, that
the
would've
character
killed me.
models, the monster models, like did look freaking incredible. I
did.
don't love the new Watchmen thing or whatever those monsters were that like right at the
yeah,
beginning.
they're new. Yeah, the Watchmen.
But yeah, there were other things off to the side, like I said, fire, lights, reflections, other things where I was like, this is just not great. So
Yeah, I'll
yeah,
be
see,
like,
that was I
goodness.
never had that. I didn't have that issue on mine. And I promise. Yes, I absolutely would have. That would have pissed
yeah,
me
you would
off.
have noticed.
Yeah, so I totally get it, that's fair. I mean, it's totally fair. Like if it doesn't run well on your system, or doesn't not run well, but if it's not display, like if you're running into graphical glitches and issues on your build, like that doesn't excuse
Yeah.
the fact that it's happening on your machine, right?
Right.
So like it,
Especially coming
it's
from the
still-
other two that were like so on point, right? The other two games were
Yeah.
like great immersive experiences. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Just
Now-
we'll keep an eye on it as we continue to play through and see if anything changes
And
or
this
if
is-
it keeps up the whole time.
But this is your first time playing on the new rig, not like the last two you played on the rig that Preston has.
First one I played on Xbox. Second one I played on the one Preston. Yeah, and then this. So yes.
Yeah. So I mean, who knows? PC
We'll see.
gaming is super fun for everybody. But yeah, so the intro starts. Yeah. So your intro starts, and it opens up with a jump scare. So the Watchmen are the new sort of mix between some of the older Nosalises and everything like that. But a thing that happened to me, as far as like a side texture that was terrifying, was before I lit one of the lighters to like light off it was like there was a part where like a spider is like crawling across
Yeah,
RT's
I saw a dude
arm,
on the face.
and he like brushes away. Ugh, I was like, fuck
Yeah.
this, I hate this so much.
Do you want to know something interesting about the jump scare? That jump scare doesn't always happen. Either it doesn't always happen or it happens on different difficulties. So I started on normal playthrough on the Steam Deck. I got that jump scare, and in the room right after when you have to run through the door and shut it, there were a
Yeah.
ton of enemies. When
Yes.
I came through the second time, this time to catch up, I just played on story, and one out of the two jump scares did not happen. So I don't know if it's a random possibility or if it's a difficulty thing. I'm leaning more probably to a difficulty thing, but
I
yeah,
would
it didn't
assume it's a
happen.
difficulty thing, yeah. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
Uh-huh.
Huh. Yeah, wild. Yeah, I would lean towards it being a difficulty thing too. Yeah, I'm also playing on normal. But yeah, so no, to your point, Alex, you start running. You're just on the run the second this game starts. You're just trying to get out of the way, and all these monsters are shooting at you or coming after you, and you try to run through a door and shut it, and these ones like it tries to jump through the door at you, and you like punching the shit out of it and like stab it and shut the door, and then what are you greeted with? You turn around and there's a fuck ton more. And they're waiting for you right there. And you get jumped. First of all, kind of say. RTM had his own version of like the Daredevil hallway fight here because he was beating the shit out of these things for a long
Yeah, he
time.
was.
Like he's just fucking Rambo, just stabbing these things, and finally like the ninth one is the one that lands on top of him, and he can't do anything about it. And right as it's about to get bad, your friends pull you out, and you get taken back to the little main establishment, where you're hearing the doctor say that your blood is irradiated. You have to do a full blood transfusion because your dumbass has been sitting outside for far too long, and you're not supposed to be outside that long, and this is what's happening to you. You keep getting sick, and they keep wasting. They keep letting you go
do this a
multiple
lot.
times. Not only have you been doing this constantly, but you keep wasting precious resources for people. They're like, dude, there's so many people that we could be helping with this, and we keep using it on you to bring your dumbass back. Stop going outside. And Anna gives it to you. Her dad gives it to you. Everybody's roasting our team in the beginning, being like, I know you think you heard something at the end of the last game. You didn't hear anything. Shut up. Like, stop doing it. Just don't go outside anymore. And so what does our team do? But he's getting ready. He's like, well, I'm about to go back outside again. I don't really give a shit. So he convinces Anna to go out with him, and this is sort of what I think kicks off what is technically the first level of the game is Moscow. So you go through that mission, and as you're going through it kicks off with Anna just basically telling you, like, look, we don't have to do this. Like, I know what you think you heard, but it's not real. And like, my dad said that he could hook us up. Like, we could get an apartment. It has a shower and a kitchen. Like, we could really be living it up. Like, all you have to do is just stop coming outside all the damn time and fucking yourself up over nothing, right? And RTM has a pretty sweet I told you so moment, because as you guys are going through that section and leaving and trying to head back to base, a fucking train pulls up out of nowhere and just blasts through, and she's like, yo, did you see that shit? Like, there's a train here.
Above ground.
We gotta catch this thing above ground. And so she sees people that you guys assume at the moment are friends. They open up the van, they're like, hey, get in. She's like, yo, did you guys see that shit? And they're like, yeah, we did. And then she's like, we gotta chase after that thing. And they're like, yep. And then bop, knock you and her out. And I was like, I was like, can my boy just live?
Right.
He's been through so much already. Can he just live? Like, do you guys, does it always have to be touch and go for RTM every 5 minutes? But so you go through that, you wake up and she's over you and she's like, oh, you idiots, like, we're under the protection of the people from T6, like, we're this, that, and the other. My dad is gonna fucking rip you guys a new one. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know who my dad is? Yeah, exactly. And so in that, he's like, they're all just basically like, shut up, whatever. Like, we're sorry, we didn't know, blah blah blah. So in that moment, there's two other people in the van. There's this older couple, and they're like, it's like a mother and a son that are in this van, and they're sitting there, and they're like, oh shit, you guys are talking about everything, and they're mentioning the fact that they're from a village outside of Moscow, and Anna's like, I'm sorry, what the fuck? What do you mean a village outside? She's like, of course it's a village outside. The whole world is still out there. And Anna immediately doesn't even skip a beat. She just immediately looks at you and says, you were right. I'm so sorry. You've been right this whole time. Oh my God, we have to fucking figure this out. And before you can even get a question out, they stop the van and execute these two people and push them off the side of the van. And they're getting ready to do the same thing. And RTM jumps them real quick. And they shoot him and then throw him off the van. Anna's still up there. But lo and behold, the old dog tags that you got given in the earlier game, like the old Ranger dog tags, save your life. They stopped the bullet, so it was, the bullet didn't go all the way through. So our team wakes up, and you start making your way back over to the Hansa, I think, is technically the faction that we're fighting right now.
Yeah.
So you're making your way over back to the Hansa people, and you sneak in, and I forget his name now, but the train engineer is who you meet next as you're coming up through the sewer grate. I'm blanking on his name. He's a great character so far. I love him. He's
eyes look a little buggy.
Yeah, he does. They're kind of like almost like two different directions sometimes. It's really
Yeah, it's
weird.
like Teddy.
I just chalk that up to
100%.
the new models. Yeah, it is. It is just like Teddy. Yep. That's what we'll call just
Yeah.
Teddy the train
Teddy
engineer.
yeah.
So you push up the grate and he's getting ready to like shoot because he thinks you're a mutant and you're like, yo, I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm a little frustrated at this point that Artyom just isn't using his words because Artyom talks in between every single loading screen. And so I'm like, all you have to, but like, so Artyom's like doing this stuff, and he's like, shish, or whatever, and like, they're like, what? And they're like, what are you saying, boy? And they're like, basically sign languaging with him, and they, get to figure it out. I'm like, you just use your words. But he's been a silent protagonist the whole time. I get it. It's the same thing with fucking Half-Life and everything else. Like, they just
So
let it
can we-
rock, but.
Can we talk about our feelings like leading up to this point? Because it is.
So that's
I mean,
what I was gonna say. So
Yeah.
right as you come out of that, your goal at that point is to go and save Anna. But I'm gonna pause right here because this is about the halfway point between the sections that we're gonna talk about today. So how are you guys feeling? Just with the current setup of the premise, and how does it feel to be back? All that stuff.
You can go first, Preston.
Okay. I'm digging it. Like I said, the big glow up there. The game's looking good. Anna's looking good. Like, everything is looking much better in this game. Going through, there's, just improvements all around. So there's not much that we get as far as there's not a whole lot of gameplay in this first half of the first part. You get a little bit of it here and there, but it's mostly just like, hey, remember, this is how you do your flashlight. Hey, remember, this is how you do your lighter. So
It's really the next section that's coming up.
that's
where there's a
more
lot
of like the
gameplay.
big chunk as far as like, do you want to stealth
Yep.
it? Do you want to go in full action? So it's nice. I like the build up. I like the story start, like the premise of the build, like the foundation that this game is going to be on now, to where it's like he's trying to see if he can get hold of anybody else out there, but he's just not getting any signals. But he keeps going out in hopes that he gets to hear somebody on the radio. And it's kind of a shitty thing that he keeps going out there just wasting other people's blood because they know they're going to revive him anyways. It's kind of a shitty thing to do. But,
He was right, though.
He was right, but there was nothing saying that he was right beforehand. There was no evidence of him like, whoa, I saw this one thing, so I just want to keep trying. Like, no, it's...
No, if you remember, so at the end of the last game, he does when everything is happening in D6. There's a brief radio transmission that he hears from the outside,
Oh, okay.
and that's the cliffhanger. So that's what leads him to go on this
Fair
goose
enough,
chase.
okay. So, yeah. Other than that, all is great. Not really much else to talk about outside of just kind of setting the foundations of this game.
I have two problems with this game so far,
Okay.
which is crazy because I had no problems with the other two. And we're going to see how this one plays out. So my first problem is with Anna, who, looks great. I feel like they took this really good character from the last game so far, and they turned her into not a damsel in distress, because she's not. That's the wrong terminology. But, like, they've relegated her to a housewife, right? And what I mean by that is, like, in the last game, she was super strong. I don't give a fuck. Like, I hold my own sort of thing. And then when you're walking around, she's not, like, we have this character whiplash where at first she's, like, not overly supportive of what he's doing. And she's, like you said, we could be living it up, like, in a house with a great shower and blah, blah, blah. Like, we could imagine, like, my dad could set this up and we could be living the life, which is not the way her character was in the first game. The other thing is, like, there's a couple times where I know they're together, they're married or whatever, and she's like, oh my God, Artyom, I was worried or whatever. But, like, if you remember the last game, like, if Artyom was bitching about something, she's just like, I'm done with you, I'll go do it myself. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll go shoot all of these guys myself. Like, I don't need you. So there's this little bit of a whiplash in her character where I feel like they've taken her, they've stepped her back a bit. She spends a lot of this first part arguing with her dad on, like, why staying out here with Artyom was the best thing. So,
Well,
I don't feel
we're not there yet, but
I don't feel as though right now in the beginning she's as strong as a female standalone character as she was in the last game. So
I think
that's
when you get closer to the second half of this, I think that's where my mind changed. Because a little bit, like I kind of see where you're coming from the first part of this, but the second part that we're about to talk about, like as far as like the later end of that, like she's like, if they don't want to do anything about it, I'll fucking do it. And like, okay, this is where I kind of see it's a little more of her character coming back from the other games.
And so like right in this, I mean we're gonna get there in a second, but and I think the other part of it is she has this moment. Like, I think there's a through line here, like, because towards the end of the last game, like, she was clearly caring for our team a lot. Like, she saw him off at the train station. They had, like, their hug. They had the little night together, the whole thing, right? So, like, it was the start of their relationship. And now that years have passed since that event, like, it makes sense that they would be more in love. And she'd be like, I just kind of, I don't need, I want to, I want to go do, like, the family thing, whatever that looks like, right?
Maybe, so yeah, and maybe, but also, like, I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but that also makes it sound like the natural progression of a female character is, I found love, I want to go do the family thing, right? And that's not the character we had in the second game. She did not.
No, what I'm more saying is that, like, it's not. I don't think it's weird to show two people who fell in love decide that they want to continue to go be in love.
Sure. I'm just saying, to me, there's a little bit of that, back and forth, like whiplash of it. Then the whiplash's point is there because the way you start off, and then towards the second half of this, she is a little bit more apt to say, like, okay, let's go do it. But, like, I don't know.
But that's what I mean is I didn't really take it as, like, her wanting to not be a badass. I took it more as, like, those two are partners. Like, they go together. And that's why, like, in the next... So... Afterwards, you're going to rescue Anna. She's in this thing, and the engineer, Teddy the engineer, is saying that he's going to help you rescue her. And so you go through the first section. It's it's when you're reintroduced to stealth, Preston's favorite mechanic, and you go through it. It's basically telling you, like, hey, go now, don't move,
right.
Go this, follow now. You go through, you rescue her, and when you rescue Anna. The big reveal of this section is there's a whole fucking switchboard in that train that you guys were following was a radio jammer that's been driving around Moscow the entire time, blocking all communications in and out of Moscow so that the whole world doesn't know that you're there anymore.
The whole world thinks that Moscow is dead zone because it got hit so hard.
Yeah. So yes, hold on.
Which is weird outside of all the nuclear weapons that happened to explode in the middle again afterwards.
Hold on before we move on, though, because I did have two things with this. So that was one, and I get what you're saying about, like, when you save her, they have that embrace or whatnot. It's just, again, I played through it twice, and both times I had that feeling of, like, this right now is not the same Anna.
I mean, you're allowed to have your opinion. It's okay.
No, I know.
I'm not...
My other issue with this game so far is all of the games have had a lot of cutscenes, but they also gave you in the past two games early on a little bit more freedom to make moral decisions. And this happened twice.
Now, we're only an hour into this game.
No, I know. Yeah. But this happened twice in this one where it didn't give me the option to do something. One was when RTM jumps out and tries to, like, choke the guy, right, and, like, gets shot. But the other one was there when you save Anna in that room. I wanted the game to give me the ability, once you punch them, to shoot them both. And that could have been, like, a bad moral thing. But remember, like, when you go through a door and in the second game, or maybe the first game, there's a guy laying on the bed, they're like, whoa, don't shoot, right? And you have the option. And, like, that's a moral tick.
It's not
of,
your
like, you can shoot
Thank you. It's a way bigger difference.
What do you mean it's not a main character?
Like Anna? As a main
the guy that goes, whoa, don't do it, is just a random NPC that you can blow away. He's not...
But you can't blow away Anna because that would mess up the entire story.
No, Preston, not Anna getting shot. No. So, like, in games previous where you fight those two guys and you knock them out.
Oh, yeah.
In previous games, you would have immediately regained control, and you could have either taken Anna out of the room. Yeah, you could have either taken Anna out of the room, or in previous games they would have given you that option to be like, pop, right? And, like, honestly, as dark as it is, that would have been in character with the characters I've been playing through 3 games, because I often, like, that guy in the bed, the random guy that's like, no, don't shoot. Like, I shot them. A lot of the guards, like, I didn't always go stealth. If I came against us, like, nah, you guys are going, right? Like, that's it. And this character, in previous games, I would have done the same thing. If as soon as I would have regained control, if you had that option to, like, knock them out or kill them, I would have killed them both. And yes, it is 100% early, but in the other games, even right off the bat, there are those little moments that you got to where it's like you could knock them out or you could kill them, and they would be little moral ticks that I haven't seen yet, and I'm sure will come. But I just wished, like, in a couple of those, I had that because I was used to having that.
You do have that option early, right before that scene. There's, like, when you're going up the stairs, there's a guy that you can catch, like, unaware, and he does
and you have the
surrender.
option for the stealth. Oh wait, which
you can stealth them or kill them.
Yes, yeah. The guy by the furnace. You do have that option with the guy by the furnace. Yep.
Yeah. So you can do the same thing there, but yeah, I see. I think that the problem is that this game clearly is trying to have more set piece moments.
Yes.
Especially for it being a game in 2019, it really wants to be like, look at how bombastic and cool things are. Given the section that comes up here in a second, so I think that I think you're going to see a lot more on rails cutscenes happen as opposed to more not because all of this is in engine, but. A lot more
like in-game storytelling sort of thing, right? Like you dictated,
as opposed to you've lost control during this scene.
We'll see, and maybe it plays off.
But who knows?
Maybe it plays off super well. But those
because honestly,
that's
the
just
next
one
section
thing.
you can. Because there's a section that comes right after this part that you can go completely loud in and smoke 1 million people, no problem. So
I did because that was based on my character. But that's what I mean. Like it'll be totally fine. But it's just one of those things that, based on the last 2 playthroughs, like that just stuck out to me as like, in the previous game, actually might have had a choice here, like right at the end, to just like once I knocked him out, either end it or not. So something I noticed I thought was interesting. So yeah.
So for this part though, when you get to this point when they drop this, and we'll talk about it once we get close, and I'll have you guys give your feelings on it. But I did not see this fucking coming at all because I obviously don't know the premise of this game at all. So I was like, you guys have been what? And then like they freak out and they're like pointing. They're like, you idiots! Like you don't know what the fuck you just did. And you start seeing all the grids and all the different people in different languages talking back and forth, and being like this, that, and the other. And I was like, oof, this is gonna have repercussions. Like I'm quite positive this is gonna get crazy. But I was like, man, I did not see this coming at all. Like, holy shit. So you rescue Anna, and then the next part is, okay, we got to get out of here. Like, we got to get out of the station that we're stuck in, and we need to break out and try to make it our way back to the colonel and the rest of the guys, and we'll try to make it out of here. Teddy, the train engineer, is like, I'll help you guys. Let's get out of here. I am tired of working for these fucks. I know it's been wrong. We've been murdering all these people all this time. We need to keep moving. So as they start going through, this is one of the first parts where you can just start really getting after murdering some people, if that's what your prerogative is, Alex. And you can go through, and your whole point is trying to stealthily get through and get the train on the tracks and then launch it to bust through the barricade and keep going. As you are going through that, the engineer is telling you like where to go and how to navigate your way through. You end up making it to the train. I don't know about you guys. I found a couple throwing knives and some other things. And so I was just like, right back to fucking double. I'm just throwing from miles away, being like, I'm smoking everybody before they even have a chance to look in my direction. They make you take care of
like 2 or 3 guys before you get the knives, and then there's a clear path where you need to go, and the knives are just like right there. I'm like, oh, thank God for these. I'm like, let's pick them up.
As soon as they handed me that silenced pistol in that first stealth section, it was only stealth in as much as it took me like 6 silent headshots. So it was like bang, 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 bang. And then I actually took stealth to find the knives. And then, it was game over once I found the knives.
I was like, oh, come back. I'm right back in it. Yeah, and this entire time, right, like you have Anna who's sniping people if they get too close or whatever. And she's up on the roof. And you guys are following and making your way through all these sections, right? So, and it was one of these where I realized very quickly that this is sort of going to be the new level design for this game of way more open and a lot less narrow, because that first section when you're making your way to the train, there's tons of different ways that you can solve that level to
in
get
the
to
room
where you need to go.
Yeah, when you're making your way to the train, let's start at the very beginning. So you leave the room with all the lights, right? And you're in the courtyard. Yeah. How did you guys get into the building where you go towards the train, right? Because that was an open courtyard. There were a couple different ways you could go.
Booked it.
You ran straight through?
I think I stealthed like one or two guys, and then like after that, I'm like, it's right there. The light's on the door. I'm like, I'm just gonna run. Let's just do it. Let's just run. And I made it. Open the door.
All right,
done.
So I shot. I came down the stairs, and Anna's like, "Hey, there's people coming over," and I was like, "Okay." Pop. I did a couple of headshots, and then shot a guy on the stairs. So I went up the stairs, see like what's going over here, see if I could collect anything, and turn off the light. When I did, I realized there were pipes. So I hopped up on the pipes and walked along the top of the wall.
Okay.
And I dropped down below. Those. Yeah, I dropped right down by the door, and I went in the door, and I noticed there was a hole in the ground. I was like, weird. So let me check some stuff up, and I went in the hole of ground, and it popped me up into the courtyard. I was like, oh, you could have gone through the courtyard and crawled under, but I did pipes. Yeah.
I turned off the lights, and then I saw where the door was, and I think I got seen by something along the way, but I'm like, it's right there. Open the door.
That's hilarious.
So okay. That's funny. So yeah, and this is what I think when people were talking about this game being like open world or whatever, I think that they were confused, and this is sort of what they meant. Is it feels like each level has a shit ton of options for you to get to where you need to go, and but it's still an enclosed space, and I'm cool with that. I think that's great, right? Like I have no problem with that. So how I did it was when I came down the stairs, I hugged the left wall and then went underneath like the stairs, smoked the two dudes as they went by, cut across, and there's like some trash and like boxes that you can hide behind, and I went behind those, and then I got up towards like where the stairs that you can like get out of. And as I was sitting there, I looked to my right, and there's people that are in the middle of the like the little thing, and I was like, well, when I come up to this light, these people are definitely going to see me, whereas the other patrol is still walking the other way, like because I hid behind the boxes when they walk by. So right before I get on top of the stairs, I had my throwing knives, and I was like, bink, 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 and knocked all the dudes out in the middle of the courtyard, and then went up so nobody could see me, got in, and then started to keep going. But it's crazy, because I know for a fact there's another way that you can go, where if you come straight down the stairs and go straight and then across, like there's some wooden planks that you can go up and drops you on the other side of the courtyard, so you can start fighting the people that way and then come back around and up to the stairs, which is crazy. But that's really cool. So I love that we all three did it a different way. But yeah, so you get in and you fight all the resistance to getting onto the train. You get on the train. Teddy, the train engineer, is like, all right, let's fucking hit the gas. Like, we're getting out of here. And he, as soon as he hits the gas pedal, you just blast right through the barricade, and they're shooting at you, trying to do the whole thing, and you're like, later, dorks, fuck off, and you start trying to leave. And as you stop, or as you are going, you run into all of the homies plus your dad, and Anna has
your father
Anna's dad. Yeah, your father-in-law. And Anna has a lot of choice words for him, because
I was kind of pissed too.
Talking. Yeah, dude. I was like, he's got some fucking splaining to do, and she lets him have it in front of everybody. She's like, you've been fucking lying. She tells everybody.
He's been going out there every fucking day.
Yeah, she's been giving it to him. So, and everybody else sort of agrees with her, and is like, Colonel, what the fuck? And he's like, first of all, it wasn't even my secret to tell. I was sworn to secrecy.
And just recently I was told. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, I literally was told like 6 months ago, and they told me they'd kill me if I told anybody. And I'm like, all right, well, it sounds like you're soft, but that's okay, whatever. Colonel. But, so, and there's, as, like, they start to argue, Hansa in their patrol train shows up, and they are like, pull this fucking thing over now or we will destroy you. And he's like, oh, well, we only have one option. Like, they've already labeled us as traitors. We're fucked. Mm-hmm. So we have to go blow this train up. So and he points at you. He's like, you're going to do it because you caused this mess.
Bullshit. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Out of all the people, you want to get me? I just got shot.
He clearly was choosing us because he was mad at Anna. Was like, I just
Can't take it out
I need
on her.
Artyom out of the way. I need him out of the way.
Yeah.
I want him.
He
I
was-
want him back at Polis or out of my business. Like I just need him gone. It was clearly why.
And he's like, you caused this mess, and I'm like, but did I though?
Could just
Like,
tell me the
I
truth.
didn't do
I
it.
could keep a secret.
And also, the whole reason I heard that signal
sorry,
in the
Preston,
first
but
place.
he doesn't think you can keep a secret because he says, if I would have told you, you would have ran and blabbed it to literally everyone in the metro.
Yeah.
no. Well,
Yeah.
that'd be true.
But the other thing is it's like I was on orders from you in the last game to go and fight at D6, which is where I ended up hearing the signal from anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really your fault, like doubly so. Like not only did you know and you lied, but you are the reason I found out in the first place. Like, but yeah, so this train sequence I thought was really cool. I don't know about you guys, but Artyom is starting to go. He like goes to make his move to the next, like to the train over, and he's got the bomb, and they're basically like, you got to throw it in their furnace. Like that's our only shot. And you're like, Jesus Christ, okay. So you get onto that train, and they're like, they're obviously every soldier on there is not prepared for you to come up behind them. So you're just smoking people left and right, trying to hide, get by, and you make your way to the furnace, you throw it in, and then they find you, and so you're like running, you jump, do crazy fucking Mission Impossible jump to the next train, you get pulled up, and then everybody's seen this scene in the intro now, but this is where Preston pulls that from, where Artyom looks at it, flicks the top, and is like, boom, and blows the whole fucking thing. I was like, God, this is so good. Like, I was like, this was a really cool set piece, and I'm glad that it's opening with it. I liked it a lot. But yeah, so then you go back in, and this next part, and we end here. This is where the vocal part. So we'll get everybody's feelings on it now. But I thought so. Right after this, the rest of the things ensues, and everybody's basically like, "Well, we're already traitors now." So and they find as everybody's arguing, he yells at you. The colonel yells at Artyom to be like, just fucking look for the radio and see if anybody's talking about the ARC project right now. Just do something else. And I'm like, you are still giving me a lot of sass that I don't think I deserve. But
Did you? How long? Because I'm sad to admit it took me way too long to notice that the D-pad options changed on the bottom left. So I sat there for minutes before I touched the radio. And just so you know, they planned a huge conversation with no repeating dialogue between Anna and her dad. I literally sat there for about 4 minutes before I looked over at my screen and was like, oh, it wants me to do something here. Because he kept saying Artyom, did you find something? I'm like, nothing's happening. And the whole time they never repeated dialogue once.
Why are you screaming at me?
There's a handful of times that you
Yeah.
go to that train to talk to everybody. Everyone has their own little story they can tell. And you walk
Well,
by
that's after this. That's after this
okay.
part. So you go through the radio, you find the ARC signal, and it's basically like the rest of the Russian sort of government being like, "Hey, we're out here. Come here if anybody loyal to the cause." And he's like, "Holy shit! They're actually still here." He was like, "That's where we gotta go. If we have a chance of surviving, that's where we gotta go. Immediately, we have to go there." So that's the next quest, right? That's where it kicks off. But after that moment, and to your point, Alec, to your question, it took me a couple minutes. I didn't get to see Artyom. Have you found anything though? But that's amazing that
They
that
said
happens.
it twice to me. First
That's
time he was
hilarious.
like, "Have you found anything?" The second time he said something different, but he was like, "Are you going to turn the knobs or something?" Are you gonna are you looking?
That's incredible.
I was like,
That's
I'm
incredible.
not looking. I don't know what to do.
Dad, stop yelling at me. Yeah, no, that's amazing. So, but yes, you have this moment where, the game sort of goes, and Anna looks at you and says, "Hey, we can either go ahead and get ready to go to the next destination, or you can go ahead and see what everybody has to say around the train." And I was like, oh, this is what this game is about to do. This is going to be the squad. You're going to develop relationships with a lot of these people. It's going to be a thing, right? And so I was like, holy shit, okay, cool. I spent most of my playtime for this section was speaking and exhausting every amount of dialogue for everybody on this train. I was like, if you're going to do it, let's give it to me. And everybody has a conversation for you, and they have all unique conversations to you. Mm-hmm. And as you finish some, when you come back in, other people will try to get your attention. Like if you finish like 3 conversations, the colonel is like, all right, dude, if you got a second, come out here and I'll talk to you, and we can go back and forth. And you like smoke a cigarette while he's talking to you and do the whole thing, right?
Rolled by with like a
so that all
newspaper.
happens. Yeah, you can go down, and if you go down to the furnace, you can take over for the guy and start shoveling coal for him. But if you don't do it for long enough, he's like, that's it? Oh, you shouldn't have even interrupted me. Like, I don't know why you even bothered trying to help, kind of thing. And then, obviously, we set up for the next section, which is Volga. But we'll stop there, everybody can just sort of give their feelings. So this second half, I'll just say, I was really impressed with. I was like, one, I think that the open design of the level structure is great. I thought the set piece with the train was really fun. I loved all of the setup premise and the dialogue that was happening between characters. And legitimately, I thought it was a nice change of pace to get into that train and see all of the NPCs and people and everybody with us and have it be like an actual moment that you can go and like have conversations with people. So I'm very excited, but this second section really sort of won me over.
Yeah, the second section reminded me more of the first 2 games and shows where this game thrives. So like, right from the beginning, when you see the board and everything lights up and you realize what they're doing, that was the moment where I was like, okay, this is in the first 45 minutes of play. Like, you just gave me this twist, and like, clearly this isn't your big reveal, right? Like, this is the first 45 minutes. So like, what's coming? But also, they made some really good points where they're like, the guy's like, you idiots, like, we're still at war and this and the other. And part of me was like, well, that can't be true. Like, there's got to be people working together to survive. But then I was like, but I don't know. You have 50,000 people living in a metro, and they're all still fighting, right? Like, it's still like the Nazis. So you probably actually are like still at war,
and
with
people
all these
still
other
have
countries.
access to nukes.
Right. So I thought that was very cool. And then like when you get into the train station, they did the rotary turn of like, how do you change tracks to go backwards? You put the train on this big circular platter and moved it, and that was the room. Like, that attention to detail in this series has been what has like won me over. So then you get on the train, you're riding the train, and dude, that scene where the other train just comes exploding out of that like barn, like way faster than your train, hauling ass, way more armored, and everybody's like, oh, well, this isn't good. The only thing that it did to subvert my expectations is how many times have we been on rails in this game where we wrecked whatever we were in. Like, we were in a car, we wrecked it, so I thought for sure as soon as we like blew up that train, I was like, well, it's clearly gonna hit ours and knock us off the track. But it didn't. So like, that was nice.
Did anyone see the skeleton of the car in one of those trains?
The skeleton of the car?
There's like a it's not armored or anything like that, but there's like one of those little cars that we had. I forget what the female name they named the car, but like,
it's on the back. It's when you jump. It's when you jump over. Yeah. It's on the back.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. It was like tied up. You could tell. So like, when it comes time, they undo it and they pop
Bertha,
out. It was cool.
Whatever the car's name was. Yeah.
So that was all great. I'm actually a little disappointed in the dialogue piece, because after I do the radio thing, I stand up and I walked over to the map and it let me zoom in, but it wasn't time for me to look at that yet because they want you to like go talk to Anna and look at it. So I turned around, Miller was standing there, and I was like, hey, let's go talk outside. Okay. So we had the conversation. That was all great, right? And we're chit-chatting. He's like, I didn't tell you because you're an idiot and you would have told everybody, and like, I essentially can't trust you to keep your mouth shut and whatever. Yeah. And then he's like, go talk to Anna. So I went inside and I talked to Anna. We looked at the map where we were going, and then I noticed she was upstairs talking to one other person.
Teddy the train engineer.
Yeah, I think it's Yakov, but yes.
He's Teddy the train engineer.
Teddy the train engineer. So I turned around, I talked to one person, and he had a short dialogue, but there was nothing that stood out to me that was like, hey, everyone here is going to want to talk to you. So I missed talking to some of those other characters, which is fine. Like,
I mean, you'll get it in other missions.
It is what it is. But the attention to detail and the set pieces, like, that's what these games have been great on already in the immersion, and they really started to bring that to life. So I'm expecting good things out of this game. The other two were great. This one has been good so far. Has been really good. So my biggest complaint has been the texture thing, and that wasn't everywhere, so not enough to really take me out of it.
Did you guys get most of the collectibles?
I didn't look.
I don't know.
I got a bunch of
so.
books, a bunch of pages.
I got like the first one, and then the next one I got, there was like all this space in between. I'm like, man, I missed a lot somewhere. I don't know where it was, but I missed a good chunk of those.
So I think we traded one bad thing for the other. So like in previous games, none of the mission names would ever line up with anything, right? And so that was our problem. Now I think the collectibles are staggered.
They're not in order.
There was some.
Okay.
Right.
I thought I saw that it still was mission based. Like I thought there were still chunks. I can't remember now off the top of my head.
I thought so too, but when I was looking through it, there was one that was like an empty thing, and then when I went like as I was playing, one of the notes I found ended up going like in the middle somewhere, as opposed to like way further down towards the end of the mission where it should be. So I don't know, but if that's the price we have to pay for having mission names that match up with the walkthrough, then that's the price we got to pay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Preston, how are you feeling?
Feeling good. It looks great. It's a little short, so there's not a whole lot we can go on, but it's a good starting off point for this like last final game.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see where it goes, especially since we're getting out of that main section. So we're going to be in different areas, and now we're going to be in areas to where it's like maybe we don't use our gas mask as much. Maybe it's going to be more. I mean, as far as like more plants,
we didn't at all.
And then there's things going to be happening. So like I'm very curious to see like how they build this world outside of Moscow.
Yeah, that was actually
all over Russia, which is going to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the coolest part was when you get on the outside of the train, Anna's like, hey, take your mask off. You don't need it. Like, we don't need it out here. And I was like, man, that's going to make for some...
I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, the missiles dropped on the populated center of Moscow, so if Russia's as big as it is...
Outside.
There's no reason to shoot a nuke in a mountain, right? Like...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. The other thing that will be interesting, too, is... where do the Novalis come to play? Because significantly different than the first game, right? Like you were trying to help out a young Novalis, but it wasn't like the bad guy that didn't take you on that like weird mind trip. So what's going to happen with 3? So I'm interested to see where it goes. But
yeah, I'm worried. Here's my current prediction. I'm worried that they don't touch on the psychological aspect and they deal with like the interpersonal human stuff because they haven't mentioned the Dark Ones at all.
And Connor's not with you either, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah, and to be fair, when you save the child towards the end of that and in the good ending, like he basically says like we're peacing out, like go fuck yourselves. So like, you know, what does that mean in general for the future? Who knows? But yeah, I agree with you. I'm very interested to see what they do with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
cool.
It was good. I'm interested to keep playing. It was fun, just as fun as the other ones. You know, combat continues to feel nice. So I don't know about you guys on the train, because you're sneaking around on the train, right? Like for a couple pieces, you're like shimmying over.
Yeah.
I did something. I died the first time in the dumbest way possible. Like there was somewhere where I was where you could touch fire. And like most games, if you touch fire, you're like, ow, right? Like you just do this number, you lose some health. No. I touched fire, and my character model essentially froze in place. I was like, oh my god, I'm on fire! And just sat there like burned to death. So I had to redo that section. But when I redid it, like I jumped over on the train, I was like, I'm not shimmying around these people. Like, nobody's expecting me. So I grabbed the AK, and I just kicked in every single door. And man, there is nothing more fun than like being that guy that survived on the outside longer than anybody else against all odds, and just like kicking open every door and just like pop, 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 and just like moving on. Yep, special forces. So feels good. But yeah.
So, with that being said, the next section we are playing to, we are stopping at Summer. Summer is the mission we are stopping on.
All right, going through fall. Right, well, going through spring. Get right to summer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we are stopping right at Summer. So a little bit of a longer section. We'll see how that plays out, but we'll adjust if need be. But yeah, we're stopping at the mission Summer.
Okay.
Did you come up with how many sections this one's going to be? Do you know?
4.
4. Okay, 4 parts. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, the play session wasn't bad this time. Lengthwise wasn't bad at all. I do wish it was a little bit more hands-on. Even though this game has a ton of set pieces, this had a lot of like slow set pieces. So I'll be excited to get back to like action of the mission. It either in the old games, kick off with a set piece, you run the mission, end with a set piece, right? And I'm looking forward to getting back to that. So.
Yep, because I think that's what's going to happen now that the intro's over, really.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for hanging out with us as we are back to our video game book club playing Metro Exodus, which is the last game in this series.
Well, until the VR game
is there
comes
another?
out.
Well, that's like it takes it back, like it's like a prequel.
Oh,
I think
is it?
What
Okay.
they said, so it's not. Yeah, so we're still good.
Well,
Yeah,
you're right.
also-
It's the trilogy.
Yeah, for the trilogy, and that VR game is not happening until one of two things happen. Somebody buys me a VR and figures out a way that I'm not going to vomit in it. So if you can figure out those
Yeah.
two things, we are golden.
We're good.
But otherwise, this is going to be our last part, or our last game of this series. I really enjoyed it so far. I'm looking forward to the next parts. I know these guys are
Yep.
too. I hope all of you listening are as well. So with that, we will catch you next time. Preston, you know what to do.
Hit it.
Hold on!
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.